Welcome on in. Welcome to the 411 podcast. What's going on? If you're out there, I want to say thank you so much for joining. Please do me a favor. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend, text a friend, invite them in, let them know what we have going on here on the 411 podcast. It is a Mental Monday. Yeah, another week. I made it here. I'm thankful. I'm grateful to be here. Monday, June 9th. We are on episode 26, The Cost of People Pleasing. Now, I think that there might be a little disconnect with what's showing up on the other end as far as the title and the description. I just noticed that what we are on is track 26, but I believe the description might be a little off. But neither here nor there. We're going to continue to rock. We're going to continue to roll and make this thing do what it do. But before we go ahead and move along with the show, I want to go ahead and give a very special thank you to my executive producer. I want to thank God for giving me another opportunity to do this show, another opportunity to be here. It's been it's been interesting. I'll put it that way. It's been very interesting the past couple days, and I'm very thankful that I'm here. Thankful that I'm able to do what I love to do, and I'm here. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you out there who supports. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. It definitely has been a journey, and have so many great things that are coming down the pike. And I could not do any of this without each and every one of you out there who supports and likes. Now, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Please go ahead and share this video. Bring some more people into the atmosphere. I definitely would appreciate that. Now, as I go through, we have several different days. We have Spiritual Sunday, we have Mental Monday, we have Transformational Tuesday, Wind Down Wednesday, Coaching Session Thursdays, and Financial Fridays. We dissect real life situations here. These are real life situations. I don't know who I'm speaking to. I'm just speaking from experience. If there's anything that sparks something in you, if there's something that triggers something in you, if you just have some questions in general and you like to give some feedback, you most certainly can do so by texting me at 609-200-1098. Again, that number is 609-200-1098. You can also email me your scenarios, your situations, anything that you'd like me to discuss here on the 411 podcast or Reading Between the Lines. You can submit that at info@lauryngaines.com. Again, that is info@lauryngaines.com. So I'm going to give a recap of what we spoke about the previous episode. So during the previous episode, we helped Marcus. Marcus, 39. He was a full-time barber and a part-time rideshare driver, straight out of Detroit, Michigan, dating Sasha, who's 35 years old, for 4 years. And basically, they couldn't get their finances together. I calculated about maybe close to $100,000 in debt between back child support, 2 repossessions, and always wanting to have the flyest thing out there. I'm not quite sure what they had going on, but it sounded like Sasha wanted to get her life together. She wanted to open businesses and, buy a home together. Marcus knew that he didn't have his situation together. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Marcus knew that he didn't have his situation together. So what Marcus decided to do was hide some of his financial issues from his girlfriend, fiance, whoever. And he felt that if he exposed and told the truth, then she would break up with him and she would leave. So I think that was a pretty bad situation when you're hiding financial issues from your significant other. So many people out there do it. Let me know what you think about that. Do you think that that is cause for a breakup if you discover that maybe your boyfriend or your girlfriend doesn't have the exact credit score that you probably thought they had based off of the conversations that you had? For example, maybe their credit score isn't, the low 500s, maybe 600, and you thought that maybe it was closer to based off of the conversations, based off of the situation. When you discover the truth, is that betrayal? Is that does that warrant a separation or a breakup? I think it does. And I don't think it's wrong to ask somebody, what's your credit score? When you're dating somebody, I don't think that's an issue to say, what's your credit score? What does your financial health look like? We can talk about other types of, you know, health and vitality issues. So how about we speak about our financial well-being as well? First thing that most people do is they want to get into the physical aspect of it. And we want to ask, are we physically fit to be able to be in active sexual relationship? Well, how about we tie into finances as well? So what does your financial health look like? Anyway, let's get into song of the day tonight here. So we're going to take it to Lauryn Hill off of the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, released in 1998. It was, yes, 1998. So mystical because I was thinking about this album as well. Song of the day, Lawns by Lauryn Hill. Now, Lauryn Hill starts off with, it's funny how money is a situation. And I say you get a lot of heat in the bank and you become the lender. But what happens when you become the borrower? Borrower. What happens? Proverbs 22:7 says, the rich ruleth the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender. In life, nothing stays the same. Everything changes. What goes up must come down. And that's why we must stay diligent and be good stewards over what God has put us in charge of. Anything can happen in an instant. And that's why it's important for us to save for a rainy day, because we all know the saying that when it rains, it pours. And like Missy Elliott, and for those of you old school, Ann Peoples, I can't stand the rain, because storms come. And storms typically come when we become overly concerned with other people's opinions and what they think and how they feel about us. I know what it's like to be a people pleaser. Most of my life I was a people pleaser. But I'm so thankful and I'm so overjoyed that today I can come and go as I please. And if you rocking with me, you come and go as you please too. No negativity, no jealousy, no envy. I don't want anything that you got because I'm too concerned worrying about what I got. I don't have time to be looking around worrying about what somebody else has and what they feel and what they think about me. Easier said than done. Majority of my life, I was a people pleaser. Today, I can wear what I want to wear. You can wear what you want to wear. You can go where you want to go. And ain't none of that drama like it used to be in the past because I know who I am today. So for people out there, if you might consider yourself a people pleaser, or as we go through this assignment tonight, and you might find yourself in this same scenario, maybe that's a reason to think, do I really know who I am? Because people who know who they are, they're not concerned about what somebody else thinks. They're not doing things to get along to get along. They're not trying to get in where they could fit in, because most fit in with the crowd and they stand alone by themselves. I paid the cost for way too long in the name of wanting someone to like me and love me. And all I gave me was some false transactions. I was robbed. I was scammed. We got all of these little get rich schemes out there on the internet. Click here, sign up for this, sign up for that. Well, when you are a people pleaser and you try to do things and you start digging in your pockets and you start coming out of who you really are to make somebody else happy, that's when you're going to get got. The rob, the robbing starts, the scamming starts, false transactions carry on your behalf. But like Lauryn said, you might win some, but you just lost one. Now, what you don't want to do is lose yourself in a process of trying to please another human being that basically, at the end of the day, once you come on the other end and wake up and you realize what's been going on, that person that you were trying to please, they could care less about you today or tomorrow. And even more hurtful is that they could care less about your emotional, your mental health, and they damn sure don't care about your financial situation because that's what they were after in the first place. Song of the day, Lost Ones by Lauryn Hill, released in 1998 off of The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. It is Mental Monday. Thank you so much for joining in tonight. We get into tonight's assignment. I'm from New Jersey. This is one of the first time that I say we got somebody from my hometown. We're going to help out Mr. Devin, 29, originally from Trenton, New Jersey. Recently moved to Atlanta, Georgia to get a fresh start. Devin is a graphic designer and he works from home. His biggest mental struggle is saying no to friends, to family, even clients. He overcommits, undercharges, and overextends himself in ways that are silently bleeding him dry. Devin has loaned over $400 in the last 18 months to people who just need a little help, and he rarely sees any return. Devin said, even when my rent was due, or I couldn't afford groceries, he still found ways to help. It's like I feel guilty having more, even when it's just barely more. He grew up poor, and he thinks that this is a form of having survivor's guilt. But now he's realizing that he's become a financial, emotional support human, and it's wrecking his peace. I needed mental tools to rebuild my boundaries and change the internal script that says I have to buy love and respect. What's the next step in what's the next step in mentally disconnecting from being the dependable one when it's costing me everything? So I'm going to go through this again. Dear Lauryn, Devin, 29, originally from Trenton, New Jersey, but recently moved to Atlanta, Georgia to get a fresh start. I'm a graphic designer and I work from home. My biggest mental struggle is saying no to friends, to family, even to clients. I overcommit, undercharge, and overextend myself in ways that are silently bleeding me dry. I've loaned over $4,200 in the last 18 months to people who just needed a little help, and I rarely see it returned. Even when my rent was due or I couldn't afford groceries, I still found ways to help. It's like I feel guilty having more, even if it's just barely more. I grew up poor, and I guess I have survival's guilt. But now I'm realizing I became a financial, emotional support human, and it's wrecking my peace. I need mental tools to rebuild my boundaries and change the internal script that says I have to buy love and respect. What's the first step in mentally disconnecting from being the dependable one when it's costing me everything? Wow. This letter here is very interesting, and we're going to go through this piece by piece. As I said at the top of the show, you can understand that I can relate, and I'm sure that there's people out there that can relate. It really is kind of disturbing. I'll put it that way. Because when you wake up from becoming a people pleaser and you know better, you do better, sometimes it's kind of hard when you see other people. And the first thing that you would want to do is try to correct somebody, try to, show them the way, try to, you know, guide them along or coach them along. But you can't do anything. Everybody, we all have our own journey. And one of the biggest issues that I had, coming out of this is trying to help people not make the same mistakes that I made. But I can give people the information and the education that they need, and that's it to that extent. I can't get emotionally involved. I can't feel a certain way because what I've learned is that some people are just been put on this earth to be who they are. And you have to accept people for who they are. And yes, there will be people pleasers in the world, and that's what their job is to do. There will be, just like there's thieves and there's scammers and there's evil and, everything else in the world. Sometimes we can't convert those people over. Sometimes we can't change people. The only person that we can change is ourselves. So we start with self first, and everything starts with self. So as Devin asks, what is the first step in mentally disconnecting from being the dependable one? I'm going to say it starts with self. You need to focus on you first. Cut out all of the noise, cut out all of the nonsense, cut out all of the drama so that you can think about what you have going on in your own world. A lot of times we get wrapped up and trapped up into these things because we are so overworked, overextended, and sometimes we don't even realize we're making some of these stupid mistakes. And I probably shouldn't have said it like that, stupid mistakes, but um, they're kind of like not smart mistakes. Okay, I'll put it that way. I won't be so harsh, but that's for you to realize that. It's not for me to tell someone else that they're making a stupid mistake. When you look at your own life and you look back and say, yeah, that was kind of dumb. And that's okay because we just make sure that we won't do it again. Like when you know better, you do better. Graphic designer, you work from home, you make up your own schedule. It seems like that's on point. I can see why you have a little extra money to spread around, or so you think you have to spread around. I mean, you're not working, at a entry level job here. There's more freelancing, and you can charge and make your own prices and schedule. So this is some good entrepreneurship here. Now the issue is when we get money, when we get in a good situation, you got to learn how to use the word no. That's the first thing. You clearly say you have a problem saying no to people, friends, family, even the clients. I'm going to say right off the bat, maybe we might need to seek some professional help because you have a problem saying no all the way around. Your personal life, your work life. So when do you have time to even figure things out if you're just saying yes to everything? And as we went through this letter here, deeper, it's real deep. So I would right off the bat, and again, I'm not giving anybody any advice, but if I was in this situation, it sounds like we need to get some professional help. Overcommit, again, overextending yourself. You can't think straight when you got so much going on. Phone ringing, this ringing, that ringing, doing this, doing that. Gotta go here, gotta go there, ripping and running. People who are all over the place like that, they barely have time to think, barely have time for themselves. You set yourself up for failure from a spiritual aspect. Your mental health gets taxed. Physical, you don't have time to focus on you because you're too busy ripping and running, doing stuff for everybody else. And then, of course, financial. Undercharge. That's a problem. Any entrepreneur out there, if you're doing a good job and you're providing value to your clients and giving them top-notch quality, there is no reason that you should be undercharging. And don't, and this is just some advice that I had to take myself, don't be upset when you outprice your current clients, because if that's even right terminology, because there's a lot of people out there that just want stuff for free, or they want to try to get it for the lowest price. And when you are an entrepreneur, when you are working for yourself, your time is so important, because sometimes you got to put in a little more work than the average person, because you're working for yourself in business. It's not like you're working for somebody else. So when people try to get the lowest price or the best price, or when you do it to yourself by undercharging, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing yourself service, and you're overextending yourself, and you're setting yourself up for failure, because you don't even know what your own value is, and you don't value your own time. Time is so much more important than money, because you can never get the time back. You can always make more money, but you cannot get that time back. So when people don't want to pay for services, there's nothing wrong with that. That pretty much means is that that particular person does not fit into your typical client category. And if you continue to do the right thing, providing value, making it do, you know how to do best, not going in the other direction, learning new skills, upgrading your business, you will eventually attract the clients that will be willing to pay for the services. Sometimes it's okay to tell people, thank you very much, but this is the price. And then that will help with you cutting out some of that overextending. You're probably overextending because people were getting stuff way cheaper than what they probably should, and they're taking advantage of you. And if you have issues with being in debt, because it doesn't really say much here, it just shows that you're just mismanaging your money. But if you happen to have an issue with lack of funds, maybe you need to look at how much money you're charging for your services, because a couple tweaks here or there, you could potentially fix some situations. But that's not the problem here. This is not debt. This is basically mismanaging money and overextending yourself, pretty much setting yourself up for a mental burnout or down, is what I can see here. You've loaned over $4,200 in the last 18 months to people who just needed a little help, and you rarely see it in return. Well, here's the situation here. If I don't have the money to give, that's exactly what that means. You're not getting it. And people should not be looking and commenting and clocking how much money you have or how much money they think you have. Oh, you got it. I know you got it because you drive this car, or you do this or you do that. Oh, you got it. That's not their situation there. What they need to be doing is focusing on themselves. And sometimes when you don't have the money to give to them, that's exactly what that means. For example, I was having a conversation with someone who dug into their emergency fund to give money to their family members, because the family members knew that they had money saved up for an emergency. An emergency fund is exactly what that is. It's for an emergency. It's for those rainy days. Just because we have money in an emergency fund saving for a rainy day, and all of a sudden you need help with something, that does not necessarily mean that I should be digging in my emergency fund and giving it to you just because I have it. I don't have it to give to you. I have it, but I don't have it to give to you. So maybe these conversations need to change a little bit. Again, I don't know what this is, but people who just need a little help, are they paying you back? Because you only got to do that to me once, and you don't ever have to worry about asking me for anything again. I don't care who you are. Even when my rent was due or I couldn't afford groceries, I still found ways to help. Now, here's a problem when it comes to helping. Yes, we can give what we can give when we have it, but we have to learn how to help ourselves first before we can start helping other people. And again, we don't know the situations. Do these people have jobs? Like, what are they capable of getting up and Ubering or door dashing or doing something to get money, or are they just sitting back, asking you for something, getting a free ride? Here's where I say we might need to get some counseling. We might need to get some coaching. We might need to speak to a financial therapist. This is the situation, and I've heard of this before. It's like I feel guilty having more, even if it's just barely more. I've heard of some people who get themselves together, they dig themselves out of debt, they start to accumulate, a little stash. They might even start to invest. They might even crack the code and make lots of money. But then they look back at the where they came from, or they look back at their family, or they look back at their friends, and because those people haven't done what they needed to do to get to the same level, now all of a sudden there's a feeling of guilt, and then they start to give their money to people to try to help them out. So it sounds like it's a little bit of that going on there. You feel guilty for having more because of the people around you, the places that you came from, they didn't come up with you. You can't take everybody with you. And it's not your job to try to save people. And when you give people stuff, like you're giving over $4,200, when you're just giving money to people when they ask for it, you are enabling them and doing them a disservice, because all they're going to do is to continue the poor financial behaviors that they continue to have. And they're not going to elevate themselves or try to improve themselves, because guess what? We could just reach out to Devin. Devin's gonna hook us up. He got the money. He got the bag. So you got to be very careful of trying to help somebody out, because you're helping in reality could be hurting them. And why I say there might need to be some financial therapy, because you're admitting that you grew up poor, and, and you have survivor's guilt. I'm thankful that I don't have that. I don't know what that feels like, but after reading this and hearing more about it, I have people who have survivor's guilt, to where you bust butt. You did everything that you needed to do to get out from a poor situation, and now you feel guilty and you want to go ahead and give your hard-earned money to somebody else. I had a family member say, when you make it, because people think that when you make it, that's it. You just get to sit back and chill and do nothing, and just watch the money come flowing in. When you make it, you gonna hook me up? And my response was absolutely not, because you see the journey, you see what it's like, you see the studying that is involved in this, the reading of the books and this and that, the next to the other, attending seminars, and you can do it too. I'm, I'm not going to just, and I'm not saying that I made it, because do we really make it? Or do we just get a little bit better at what we know how to do? I'm just saying. Clearly, Devin, you know that you need some help here. You're calling yourself a financial emotional support human, and it's wrecking your peace. So here you are, just basically letting everybody run all over top of you. And you're paying the cost of trying to make all of these people happy. You need mental tools to rebuild your boundaries. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you that it starts with just one word: no. And you can't buy love. You can't buy, none of these people respect you, first of all. And you can't buy any of that. You're being scammed. You're being robbed. There's some false transactions going on behind your back. First step is taking responsibility for your situation, for yourself, for you, and learning how to love yourself. And you'll know when you start to love yourself is when you tell people no. Absolutely not. We're not doing this today. I got to focus on things for myself. I got to make sure that I'm good, because as y'all continue to ride me down and dig me into a ditch, who the hell gonna come and help and pull me up? Because if y'all are already down and you're trying to drag me down, now we all gonna be in the same pit together. And how we gonna get out of this? If I was in this situation, the first thing that I'd learn how to do is say no. And I know it's easier said than done, but we're gonna need to start. I would say cut out the easiest thing that you can cut out first, and then just start to write a list and find out what can I do to eliminate the things that are no longer serving me, and start some of your time back, because you're overextended. You can't even think straight. Get some of your time back. Get with self. Everything starts with self. Shut out some of the noise. Find ways to connect into nature. Sit in silence. Ask the questions that you need to ask, and start to clean up that way. And I would say definitely some therapy, but you can't even think straight. First thing is to clean up so you can get some more time, because you can't even think straight. You got so much going on here. If anybody thinks differently, you want to add or chime in on what you feel about what's going on with this scenario with Devin, please feel free to reach out. You can text me at 609 200 1098. That is the official 411 podcast, Reading Between the Wines hotline. And if you have anything that you'd like me to review on the show, please go ahead and text me. You can email me. You can DM me. I am on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, D Live, Twitch, and Daily Motion. We're going to get into one of my favorite segments, Burning Questions, again. If you want to chime in for tonight's burning question, please feel free to text me, DM me, and let me know how you feel about tonight's burning question. Burning questions. Why do we keep paying the emotional toll for people who won't even cover their own ride? Why do we keep paying the emotional toll for people who won't even cover their own ride? Now, of course, this is a financial show here. We discuss becoming debt free, living this debt free life from a spiritual, mental, physical, and financial aspect. But I will tell you, on Mental Monday, it makes sense for us to speak about this topic here, because we will not be able to become successful financially, break free from the matrix, if we continue to pay emotional toll for people, for other people. I don't know why this happens, but I think people who seek love, seek validation, want someone to like them, we end up paying the emotional toll for people. And they don't have the tools. They're not up to our speed, if that makes sense, to be able to take care of it and do it themselves. So if you find yourself constantly paying toll for somebody else, and you realize that these people do not even want to pay their own ride, they don't even care, you're going to need to love. And sometimes we just have to say, I'm sorry, but this relationship no longer serves me. And I know it's hard because I recently had to go this as well. We end up taking on other people's emotional baggage and drama and nonsense, and it starts to become a part of our life. And the more that you take on other people's stuff and other people's nonsense, the more you take away from yourself. Because we can only handle so much. We already found this out with Devin here. We can only handle so much. So if we know that we can only handle so much, there's only so many hours in a day. Are you willing to continue to try to regulate and control someone else's nervous system and try to make sure that they're okay? And meanwhile, they can't even make sure that they are okay on their own. So what makes you think that they can even check for you or help for you? But now you need to make sure that you're okay, and now you're trying to go ahead and help somebody else. And they ain't even thinking of helping themselves. And I believe that when we continuously put ourselves in a situation where we are trying to be responsible for somebody else's emotions and feelings, we haven't learned our lesson yet. So people who continuously plays game and they want to go ahead and be the savior, remember there's only one savior. And the last time I checked, you aren't him. So you can't save somebody else. What was that, J. Cole? She don't want to be saved. Like, you can't save people, especially if they don't want to be saved. The first person you need to be worrying about saving is yourself. Why do we keep paying the emotional toll for people who won't even cover their own ride? You know full well that this person is not capable of doing it because they're showing you that they're not capable of it. Hey, easier said than done. I had to have a whole conversation with my mentor, like, for the past couple weeks. Something similar to this. Emotional stuff. See, there's a difference when I spoke to my mentor earlier. See, people will tell you everything about them within the first 30 days if you pay attention and listen. See, before, I didn't pay attention. I wasn't listening. Even though they told me I wasn't listening. This time around, I've been paying very close attention. I can list all of the red flags. I can list all of the situations. Stop me from falling into a trap. But then now I have to ask myself, how many more red flags do you need to hear about? How many more red flags do you need to uncover? Because I'm doing a very good job of uncovering them and revealing them to make sure that I don't get tripped up. The question is, do you really want to continue to see them and list them and write them down and expose them? Like, how many times are we going to continue to do this? Like, how many times does it take for someone to show you who they are? Like Maya Angelou said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time because people know themselves far way better than you do. I'm listening today. I've been through too much to not listen, to not learn. Like my girl Mary says, I never claimed to be a genius, but I lived long enough to see this. Oh, I can see it because I've been there before. But like I say, everything starts with self. Sometimes I have to get with myself and say, okay, so I've seen this before. There's some familiarity going on here. We understand, we know this. Now, how long are we going to continue to sit here and watch this show? Or do we just go ahead and switch this channel and say, you know what, this person is just not for me. This situation is just not for me. The minute that we get up and we take responsibility for our own situation in our own lives, by disconnecting, unsubscribing, unfollowing, unliking, uninviting things that no longer serve us, we'll be able to get to the next level. The key is not to get emotionally involved and wrapped up into somebody who doesn't even want to take care of their own situation, trying to give someone the benefit of the doubt, trying to see if they'll wake up one day and figure it out. Maybe they will, but is that really your job to be the one to orchestrate that? Like I said, there's only one savior, and last time I checked, you ain't him. And I tell myself that. Last time I checked, Lauryn, you ain't him, so don't even think. Remember last time, right? Let's go back. Go back through your history. Remember before, and then the one before, and then the one before. You are trying to help somebody, and then it weighs on your emotional. It weighs on your mental. And then now you can't sleep at night. Now you're over it. Now you have all of this stuff going on, chaos going on, and whatever nonsense and BS that they brought up into your world. Guess what? You're going to start to mimic that and start to display that and put that out into the universe as well. Because whoever you hang around, you're going to start to pick up their traits and you're going to become them. That's why you need to surround yourself by like-minded people. You are the average of the 5 closest people that you hang around. Burning question. Let me know how you feel about tonight's burning question. Phone number is 609 200 1098. Thank you so much for staying. I appreciate y'all out there, and I appreciate you hanging out with me here on Mental Monday here on the 411 podcast. If there's anything that you like tonight, something that sparked something that woke something up in you, you might want to learn more about what I've been speaking about when I speak about living debt free. If that's the case, you can go ahead and head on over to LaurynGaines.com. You also may sign up for my free monthly newsletter, Whispers of Wisdom. Again, you can sign up for that at LaurynGaines.com. Inspirational, motivational, exclusive content delivered to your inbox once a month, centered around debt-free living from 4 pillars of Black Diamond Consultations. We focus on spiritual, mental, physical, and financial wellness. You may also sign up for the free 50-minute consultation. Apply to see if you qualify. And I say that apply to see if you qualify because this journey is not for everyone. This is a journey. This is a lifestyle. This is a process when you say, I want to commit to living debt free. I do not want to live off of someone else's money. I want to live off of my own money. And I want to break away from living paycheck to paycheck. I want to break away from being dependent on credit cards, loans. I want to do this thing on my own. It takes a special person. Not everybody can go on this journey. Not everybody understands. It takes a unique person. And one thing that I've learned going through coaching people is that if you're not ready, it's not even worth your time. I've seen people dig themselves out of debt, get almost close to the point where they're out of debt, and then they do something like what Devin does. They do something like dig in their emergency fund to go help somebody else. They do something like book a vacation just because their friends wanted to go on a vacation. They do something like black out and all of a sudden a shopping spree. That's somebody who's not ready yet. And I get it. I've been in out of debt probably about 3 times in my lifetime. And by the third time, I said, you know what? I'm getting a little older here. And I don't believe, I could be wrong, But I'm not gonna play with God. I'm not gonna go ahead and chance it a fourth time and a fifth time and a sixth time. I'm not gonna do it. You got me out once. I played games, got back in it again. About the third time, I'm like, how many more times are you gonna save me? And I don't want to keep playing games, so I'm gonna get this thing together. But during that process, if you're ready, you know you're ready because you hit rock bottom. You're so far down that you feel that you can't get any lower. The only thing that you can do is climb up out of the ditch, whatever you got going on, hole. Only thing you can do is climb up. And by the time you get up and you can breathe, any nonsense credit cards, BS, somebody coming your way trying to get you to spend money that you don't have, and the games and the partying and the clubbing and the this and the that and the buying the jewelry, the clothes, and the cars when you can't afford it. You want no parts of that. You cut all of that stuff off. You stop all the nonsense and that BS. You might be somebody that might be ready. Head on over to Lauryn. Sign up for that free 15-minute consultation. Sign up for the Whispers of Wisdom newsletter. And on that note, I want to say thank you so much to everyone out there for joining. And I will see you tomorrow, Transformational Tuesday. Same place, same time. Check me out on my social media platforms as I post different content. We have daily content coming your way. And on that note, I will see you when I see you. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here tonight.